Okay, we'll go ahead and start with Trace Travers.
Yeah, hey coach, good to see you.
Trace, how are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Pretty good. The depth chart came out earlier today. I think when, Dario Longhetto won both the kickoff and the place kicker jobs. I just want to know, what did he do best in order to earn those positions?
Well, I think, obviously a different set of circumstances in the time that we had to get prepared. And so I think it's a combination of, obviously he punted some games for us, but I think it's a little bit of experience factor. There's a trust factor there that we have with Dario, having some game experience. And then he's been really consistent, especially in his place kicking, and so when we got in the stadium and put him in pressure situations, it was probably the consistency of his production that stood out most and allowed him to be in the spot that he is.
And with that, you also have Nico and Kikoa at the kick returner spots. What did they do to stand out amongst everyone? Well,
that's probably that position, itself was probably the hardest because of how we practiced. And it's so hard with just everything right now to really be able to execute in a full kickoff return scheme. You're not really going to see a full one until you see one in the game. So it's again, the ability that we know those guys can catch the football. They're veteran guys. They have some experience. Obviously Nico and the punt return department, Kikoa, having some experience doing those things in high school and at Michigan. So it's a combination of those things that we think those guys will give us the best opportunity right now with where we're at and the situation that we're at. They give us the best experience and skill set, kind of a combination of both.
Yeah. Do you feel comfortable enough with the open field tackling that you've seen in practice with your kick return and your punt or your cover units, both kick and punt?
I don't think, I don't know. I think comfortable is probably not the right word. I think that, just no. I mean, it just, you haven't had the right amount of practice time. So anybody that tells you that they are is lying to you. I think that it's just a different set of circumstances. I think we've done the best that we could with the situation that we've been presented with. So I feel comfortable how we've prepared. But I think that's why, if you've watched football this season, which obviously I know you have, and you see the games the way they are. So I think as a coach, it's certainly a concern for any coach in the game that you have to worry about tackling it. Yeah. So we certainly have our concerns.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You got it. Good to see you.
Okay. We'll move on to Rusty Simmons from the Chronicle.
Coach, I was going to ask you about the punt game and what you've seen out of Sheehan. I guess just through training camp, what have you seen?
Good to talk with you, Rusty. Been far too long. Yeah, you know what? Really impressed with one. Just I don't usually get on here and talk about just the kids in general, but you can't. I can't talk about Jameson with just fundamentally what kind of young man he is. He's just a tremendous young man that you enjoy being around on a daily basis. And so even though, he hasn't played a college football game, that's not a real concern because he's played, at a high level, competitively. And you just, every day he's working to get better. And then when he's out there, he's been really, really good for us. And obviously there's going to be some first time things that he's going to go through in playing college football, but I really have a strong feeling that he's going to handle those with great success. And I think he's going to be a real big attribute for the Cal Bears.
Can you give me any kind of insight into how you found him? Coach Wilcox even talked about what a great catcher of the ball he is and how he's handling the adjustment. But can you tell me how you found him and how you brought him to this?
So I had established a relationship with the guys over at Pro Kick Australia back when I was at Arizona, and I started building that relationship with them. And anybody that knows me knows I'm I like to talk. And so I like to think of myself as a people guy, and we built, and they got a guy over there that's quite the talker. He might even talk more than me, and that's hard to do. And we just built a really strong relationship over the phone, as crazy as that sounds. And when I got here, we had the opportunity to get Steven, and we did, and that's kind of where the relationship took off. And then obviously with his eligibility running out, and knowing that we needed to get a punter, I visited with them again, several months out, and just said, hey, this is what we're looking for. And that's what they do, and that's kind of the business they're in. And then we got some film and evaluated it, and they knew again what I was looking for and what I want out of a punter. And obviously then they put a couple guys in front of me, and Jamison being one of them, and then just talked about the criteria of who he is and what kind of young man he is. And then once he got over here and on his official visit, you could see it was going to be a natural fit. And he really, when you think about a Cal guy, man, he really fits into that frame of mind. And so I'm ecstatic that he's here with us. And I think he's going to have a brilliant career. As a coach, you're always, you try and, keep, under promise and over deliver. Right. But I think this kid's going to meet expectations and then some.
Great stuff. Thanks, Coach.
You got it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Jake Curtis.
Yeah, Coach. Can you tell me what the range is for your kicker, Langetto?
Jake, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking max range, I mean, I would say we'd go into a game. I mean, he's hit 52, 53 yarders consistently in practice. I think that's probably where I would say, I think, he could probably go a little bit longer, but in a desperation, so to speak. But if we're talking on a consistent basis, I'd say we would, depending obviously on the conditions, 50 to 52 would be where we would feel comfortable on a consistent basis, max range.
With that kind of range, it sounds like his kickoffs are going to go in the end zone.
They should, a little bit different. The kickoff is a lot about technique, and sometimes those guys overstrain, and the kickoff is a different entity. I mean, we've had some guys here that have had really strong field goal legs. I mean, Matt Anderson was one of them, but when he went to kick off, he was about a 65-yard kickoff guy, right about the goal line. And so a little bit different technique to the two, but Dario has put, multiple kickoffs in the end zone. So we're excited about what he possesses.
Okay, Rusty Simmons. We'll move on to Rusty.
Coach, I was going to ask you a little bit more about Nico as a returner. Tell me a little bit about his assets, what he does for you there.
Well, one, bringing him back, as a punt returner, he comes back, obviously the thing you love most is just, it's like I said, it's like Chase, bringing a guy back that has experiences. You can't, especially in this situation, with what we're dealing with, you can't put a price on that. So got a guy going into his third year as a punt returner. In reality, I'm not a big stat guy. I don't like to throw out stats, but I thought one thing that was interesting, and I actually talked to Kyle about it, is Nico was one return away from qualifying, and he would have had, I think, the 11th best average in punt returns in the country, and he missed it by one return. I think he has a chance to be really good there because he possesses a moxie that a lot of guys either think they have or, just don't have. I mean, and the guys that think they have it find out when they get back there that they don't have it, and he's a guy that has had that moxie since he was a freshman, and you have to have that to be a punt returner. I think it's one of the hardest things in football to do. And I think that he's going to have a really big year there. I think that unit in particular is really motivated to see that. And so we're excited about him back there as a punt returner. And then as a kick returner, again, I think that one's a little bit more of touch and go just because of, like I said, that how we've gone about preparing for it. But the one thing that is he, and they're different skill sets with both, but he has an understanding of how to set up blocks, and that's key when you're running a kickoff return, to be patient and a one cut and go, which is different than a punt return. But he presents just a knowledge base. He's a savvy football player, and so with all of those things combined, I think he has a chance to do well for us there as well at that kick returner spot.
And then I was going to ask you, you're in a position where you touch and see everyone on the team. Probably not surprised, but is there anybody who has impressed you through 15, 20 practices that maybe you weren't thinking about going into it?
It's a great question. There's several guys. I feel like as we go into this thing, we have more athleticism. Our depth is still, with numbers, and just the depth is always, you always want more depth, but I feel like we have more athletic body types than we've had here before. So overall, I've felt really good about going into this, quasi fall camp, whatever you want to call it, just from the athletic body types. There's some guys that, Craig Woodson in his second year, I think you've seen him show some things on teams. I think Moai Asepa is a guy that's impressed me, just a big body type that can run. I really like what he has shown. There's a lot of them. Trey Pastor's another young man that I'm excited about. Colin Gamble's has shown some really good things. Always when you start thinking about these, there's inevitably somebody I'm going to hang up with you and say, dang it, why didn't I say that guy's name? But those are probably three guys that have stood out. Aiden Lee has been a big body type that can run and has been impressive. So those would be some guys offhand right now that I would say that have been impressive.
Much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Okay, does anybody have a final question for Charlie? If you do, give you about 3 seconds here. If not, we'll let him go. Okay, seeing none, Charlie, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
No problem, Kyle.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Coach.
guys. You guys take
Thanks,
care.
Coach. Have a good
Good to
night.
see you guys. All the best.